I think being a parent, it's somehow just like illuminated areas of my life where I'm like, oh, like I can apply the same framework because I can see it so clearly with my kid, you know, like, or I can see it so clearly with my relationship with my kid that like you can have this level of gray, or you can hold two things at once, you know, in other areas of your life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I would double click on that. And I think I felt gobsmacked by it because of the disparity in the emotions. Like, I know I've felt like bittersweet before. Like, and I fully could have like empathized with that emotion where it's like, it's a little sad, but it's also like really sweet.
Right.
But like, those are a little closer together on the emotional spectrum. Like the range that you could feel in the same moment. Like, I had never felt that before. And it was like, you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, I literally like felt smacked.
Right.
Welcome to It's Both, the podcast where we explore the messy, beautiful contradictions of being human. I'm your host, Nikki P, and each week I sit down with real people navigating life's complexities. Those moments when life isn't just one thing, it's so many. And this week I sit down with my friends and coworkers, Amy and Hannah, to talk about the complexities of parenting young children. In this episode, we talk about the duality of feelings that parents experience, the chaos of daily life, and just the struggle to balance work and family responsibilities. All the things that come with parenting young kids, like managing guilt and expectations, especially when you think about all of the evolving dynamics of relationships with our family, friends, coworkers, and ultimately the importance of connection. So let's jump in. So good to have you guys here.
Yeah, happy to do it.
I am so excited to talk today because little kids are like all I think about, fortunately, unfortunately. So before we jump in, I wanted to kind of hear from you guys and have you tell us a little bit about who you are.
I'm Hannah Wolchin. I am a mom. It is a major part of my identity at this current season of life. I am a co-founder of Elevate Consulting with my lovely business partner who's here with us, and also serve as the chief research and evaluation officer for this fine company. I am married to my wonderful partner. And like, who am I really? Like, that's a great question right now in this particular season of life. Right now, it feels very much like partner, mom, business owner, sometimes reader of science fiction and fantasy.
When you can get a second.
When I get a moment to myself. Habitual online window shopper.
Are you like, do you go as far as to put it in the cart and then you just don't buy it?
What I don't ever put in the cart, I put it on my Pinterest board, the place where ideas go to die. So I'm like, I pinned it and I'll come back to it, and that never happens, but that's where they go.
That's healthier than what I do, which is just buy it. I might need a place where they need to go to die.
There's definitely like, it's like you break the seal, like you buy one thing and then all of a sudden it's a lot easier to buy
100%.
all of the things.
Or it's like it's on sale and you're like, it's on sale.
Or shipping is going to be free if you like another thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
that's the whole thing. Okay, my turn. Hi. I'm Amy Merritt Campbell. I'm also a mom of one 3.5-year-old little girl. Also married to my husband. And fun fact about me and Hannah is we both married, I guess we can call high school sweethearts. So we've both
I
been
didn't know that.
with our partners for like a very,
Wow.
very long time. Like more time at this point, more time than we were not together. So it's wild.
Whoa.
More than half of
Yeah.
our lives. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think we're on like 21 years that we've been together. I mean, it got dicey during college.
Doesn't it always, though? I feel like.
But since like 2007, we have been totally together 100%. So anyway, yeah, we've been together for a very long time. I'm the CEO of Elevate, which I co-own with Hannah and our third business partner, Jessica. A little bit about me. I grew up in Appalachia, so that's very much part of like my identity and like who I feel like I show up as a lot, which means the accent will sneak out at inopportune times, even when I think it doesn't do it. I am like a little chaos tornado, I think most of the time is just like how I show up. And thankfully I have people in my life who work around me in that. I like to read. Yeah. And right now that's about it. That's about all I got time for.
Yeah.
Running a business and being a mom. And maybe I get to read a book every now and then.
Yeah.
I had my daughter during COVID. So it's like between COVID and like having a baby, I'm like, who am I? Like, I don't know. Like pre-pandemic, pre-baby, I have no idea.
Well, and when did you start your business? I was just thinking about that too. That was pre-COVID.
It was pre-COVID, but it really like kicked up during COVID.
The year before COVID. All of us were full. We started in 2016, but all of us were actually full-time in February 2019.
Yeah.
So we had a little bit of a runway.
Yeah. So it was like full-on business owner, COVID, babies. Like, so now I'm like, I don't know. To ask me in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah. And sometimes if you're like me, like, I don't feel like I'm ever going to get out of that space. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't even ask me in 5 years because I'm never going to know.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I'm just perpetually in this space for forever now.
I'm surviving.
Yeah.
I'm not going to struggle.
Leave it over there. Let it be.
So that's a great segue.
Uh-huh.
You know, we're talking today about parenting young kids specifically. And just the bothness, which I know isn't a word, I'm making it a word for this podcast, the bothness of that, like the chaos, the ridiculousness, the insanity, sprinkled in with like the really sweet moments and the life that gives you, also the life that drains from you. So talk to me about like, what is it like for you guys to parent young kids? What does that look like?
Yeah, this is a subject in which we are experts on. Talk ad nauseum.
Right, exactly.
I will say, like, in thinking about this and like, how do you coalesce your thoughts, like collate your thoughts about being a parent? I think it is fundamentally defined by the both and. That is my biggest experience with it. And yes, I'm a mom to 2 kids. I have a 5-year-old daughter and a 2.5-year-old son. So we are in it. And I remember after having our first, I was like overwhelmed by the feelings of both, like, you can be both angry and happy. You can be both proud and embarrassed or ashamed. And so it was like, it was the both, feeling them both literally at the same time, like feeling, like seeing them in your brain, and not just the feeling, because I think there are other moments in your life where you can feel multiple things, but it was like how far apart on the spectrum they were for emotions
in a short span of time.
in the same moment. Like I had never felt that before in my life. And so I, you know, as more friends have had kids and like people ask about your experience as a parent, like that is actually what I'm like, you will never feel more combating emotions at a scale and scope you've never believed possible at the same time until you are a parent and you learn how to hold that.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is very like spot on, I think, particularly from my experience as a parent.
I think for me, I have 2 thoughts. One is like, so the whole like, I'm both a mom and I'm a business owner, and like it in some ways, like there's a lot of overlap. You know, you're leading people, and so like you're dealing with people, so emotions and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like the turn off of like, okay, I have to turn mom off. Like I drop you at daycare and I have to turn mom off.
Yep.
And then I have to switch into CEO, and then I have to turn CEO off, and I have to be mom. But it's still like, you know, how do you hold both of those things at the same time? And then even like, so we took a trip to Scotland 2 years ago, I think, whatever.
Time.
Yeah, I don't even know. But we went to Scotland like 2 years ago, and I think like we left her with the parents, and it was one of those things where it was like, or with the grandparents, and I was like, man, I'm so glad to not be with her right now. And also like I miss her so much and I feel so guilty. So it's just like navigating all of that, like, who am I? Like, how do you hold both of the things of like, I want to be with you, I don't want to be with you. I need to not be with you. Like I need to stretch this part of my brain as like a professional and whatever. And also like I really just love you and I want to hang out with you, but also I'm going to kill you. So anyway, all of that. So that's like one way I think about it. And the other time it's like really acute, like instances, like bedtime for me is like,
God.
That's one of my examples.
yeah, bedtime is like
Amy.
such a like, yeah, well, I want to hear. Like for me, it's like I do. So Justin does bath and I do like the pajamas and the brush the hair and whatever. And it is like a dead sprint, and she's in this phase right now where like I'm sitting on the floor and she just like collapses into me all the time, and I'm like, what are you, like, stand on your own 2 feet for the love of God, and you're already touched out and like you've done dinner and you've done the whole thing, and so I'm like, I want to murder you, but then we like get the blanket and we get the books and we read, and she's so freaking cute, and then you kiss her and you put her in the bed, and she's a good sleeper, so there's that. But, like, you have that, and you're like, "Oh my god, you're so sweet," and then you walk out, and, like, literally every night, we walk out, and we're like, "Okay, like, what are we gonna do?" So, anyway, yeah, that was a long answer, but,
Yeah.
man, the bedtime is where I'm like
Yeah.
Well, and for me, it's definitely, it's all of that. And also never having, especially with 3 kids, like, it's hard. I don't know that the multiples makes, well, it does make a difference, but because if one of them is okay, it's likely one of the other 3 are not. And so for me, it's like never having, and I just realized this aha moment the other day, never having time where I'm not
Yeah.
like managing,
somebody's feelings.
reacting, so there's never the time for me to like recoup. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's very little time of that because, yeah, like you said, you're flipping into work or you're flipping into, oh yeah, what about being a wife? Like being a good
Whatever.
partner, which
I love how none of us really like mentioned that as an activity.
I feel like we probably all could assess. I feel like I need to apologize to my partner. He needs to apologize to you. Love you.
Yeah.
But like, because that's the first thing I feel like that goes, because you're like, we're good. We good. Okay. We'll connect at some point, but like, let's order of priority. You and I can handle ourselves. But it is one of those moments where you're like, yeah, when is the time where you can like turn off all the things? It's not just switching back and forth. It's like turning off all the things and just existing.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah, with the pressure of all of the things that you know that you have either put off that you need to do or would just like to do,
Yeah.
Right.
competing for this teeny little sliver of time that often, I don't know about you all, but I just end up in like analysis paralysis. And I'm like, is it something I can do and want to do, or is it something I need to do? Like, I have an hour.
And I wind up like, I'm like, okay, let's watch 20 trailers on Netflix, or I
Same.
just scroll.
Same.
Like,
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, time to go to bed.
I will say bedtime is such a great example of the both and, because yes, it's like you are both at your sweetest, most vulnerable. I love you so much. Also, I'm
Done.
done.
Yeah.
Done. And the other thing I find a lot at bedtime is also like one of the places where I am chafing against, I think, some of like the either expectations I hold for myself or have come from somewhere else around like what I'm supposed to be, like the boundaries I'm supposed to be holding with my kids.
Yes.
Because for our bedtime, we have some little delay tactic magicians. They are an infinite toolbox of ways to dilly-dally. And so I have, and I know that they are asking for connection. Like when they
Yeah.
dilly-dally, when they're like, I need one more drink, or I need one more thing, or like the whining starts. Like, I know you just need connection. And also it is 8:45. And I'm going to hold a boundary now. But like in holding that boundary, like you're both like, I love you so much and I see you so much. And also like, and guilt for being like, but I have to teach you.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
this is a thing I'm supposed to do as a parent.
Right. And you need it for yourself.
And you need it for
Yes.
yourself.
Right.
And so like that is definitely a moment where I'm like so much guilt, so much like empathy for your kid, and also like such fatigue all in one moment.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. Because for me, it's like there's this 1 second line, honestly, where I'm like, oh, I love you so much.
Yeah.
And then before I can even finish the words, I'm like, now go to bed.
Now go to bed.
And then, my 3-year-old is like really in a scared phase.
Oh,
Everything
yeah.
is scary.
Uh-huh.
I know it's connection. I know I could just spend a little longer with her and she'd be okay. And yet also I'm like, I just need my time.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
just
Your
look.
nerves are like frayed. Yeah.
And then we haven't even talked about like gentle parenting
Oh my God.
or like Dr. Becky, big
Cannot.
little feelings type stuff.
Yes.
Because that for me is also what comes to mind
Yes.
of like,
yeah.
in my head, I'm saying something like, you're not, if we don't do this, you're not going to get this. And as I'm saying it, I'm like, that's a threat of a punishment. I shouldn't be
Right.
doing a threat to a punishment. Here's what I should be doing.
Yes.
And I'm still saying it because I'm like, well, what? I don't have the capacity to figure out what's the thing I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like the yelling. I'm like, I'm yelling and I know I shouldn't be yelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I feel like is the hardest thing, is like, you should be doing something differently, but like, because you default to like whatever your upbringing or whatever it is, there are times when I just look at her and I'm like, I don't even know how to respond right now, because my brain cannot
Yeah.
pull up the appropriate response that you're supposed to have. So
Well, and that tension too. I mean, like literally in the same moment, feeling so proud of myself for being like, girl, you're in it and you were like doing the best that you can. And the shame and guilt and being like,
Yeah.
and like, could we do that just a little bit longer? Because yeah, you, Dr. Becky. And I mean, I do think a lot of that, I mean, I've taken some social media breaks, because of course of the parents, I'm getting all of that information. And so you do have that on a loop. But yeah, both of those things are true, like in the same moment. And that is a weird experience to yo-yo back and forth between like, I should do it better. You're doing great. But I can do it better. But you're doing great.
And all in the moment at the same time, when for me, I have 3 kids screaming,
Oh my gosh.
2 hitting each other. And I'm like, information overload, sensory overload. And then that's where I'm like,
yeah,
right.
Everybody, and I don't say shut up. I don't think I've said that luckily, but like it's the verbal response of wanting to be like, shut up.
Yeah.
Or like
shut down.
Or like, yeah, exactly. And then how do you move in that moment, whether you have 1, 2, 3, whatever. It's exhausting.
Yeah. And then to see them replicate some of those things that you're like not so proud of, you're like, cool. Glad you're picking that up.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just got a dog, and he's teeny tiny, and he's actually been really great. So he's an older dog, whatever. But Parker yells at him all the time. And I was like, that's because I'm yelling at him all the time. It is like that whole thing of like, I'm trying to teach you the right thing. And
mine is because our daughter, is also very concerned about the parenting of our son and steps in when she feels like it's necessary to parent.
Same.
But what I've noticed her doing, my go-to, and I'm like, I can't. I'm like, they're either not doing something that I've asked in particular, which is particularly triggering for me. But I'll be like, do you need help with that? Like, I'm going to do it for you. And I have noticed our daughter with her son, when he's not listening to her, she'll be like, do you need help? Like, that's me.
It's the tone for me. Can I help you with that?
Yeah, can I help you with that?
I'm like, hey, can I help you with that?
Yeah,
I do the same thing.
Can I help you?
That's awesome.
My oldest daughter recently, there's a lot of like good that sometimes has been passed down. I would like state that, which I'm sure is the same for you. But when I hear it the most is like the less than ideal things.
Totally.
And she's very much the oldest one she's almost 6 to the one that's almost 4 is like, I am so tired of this always. And I was like, shit. No 6-year-old just says that. Like, me and my husband are like, I'm just so tired of the constant yelling. And so the older one, Sophie's like, this is the place for this thing. And this is the place for this thing. Addie, you need to be cleaning up. And I'm like,
God.
Oh, man, like, come on.
How dare you use my own words?
But then there's moments, so like, that's like the crazy. And then there's moments where like, I see one of them cry, or I even cry or get overwhelmed, and they stop what they're doing. And they're like my older daughter the other day was like, it's okay to be sad. I was like, it is okay. It is okay to be sad. Thank you. So I'm like, some good is getting through.
Yeah, that's a good reminder too.
Yeah.
But the other stuff.
I would say too, like, just thinking about like just the full range of emotions. I think there is also like a little connected to that. There's like this amazing like wonder and awe and pride too. It's like about them like growing. You're like, oh my gosh, like this is so amazing. And then like at the same time, like mourning, like grief, like that they're not like babies anymore. Like you can't go back to that. And like that actually is one of the things that like it's sudden and it's like in certain moments, but it's like gut punch. You're like, oh wow, you're cool. Oh my God, you're not going to be a baby. You're not a baby anymore.
I feel like when we decided to have one kid, like that got really acute for me because it's like, I don't have the opportunity to like go through any of that stuff again. Like, so anytime it's like, oh, we're out of the like whatever milestone phase and now we're into this milestone phase. I'm like, oh, I don't get to do that again. And also thank God I don't have to do this again.
I was just thinking that.
So it's like, it's hard because it's like, I know I'm not, gonna see her, she just learned how to like ride her little scooter and like that's it. Like that's the last time, So but also like great, I don't have to carry you when we go on walks anymore, because you can ride your scooter. So yeah.
We just actually yesterday trimmed the passies. We're gonna get rid of the passies for Theo.
Oh boy.
And it needs to happen. Like there's a bunch of transitions coming. I'm like, we do not want to be like weaning you off of the passy while we're trying to do like potty training or like you move up in your school and all that kind of stuff. And I've been dreading it. And yesterday I was like in the bathroom, like trimming the ends of the I'm like fighting back tears. And also, but it's like, he did so good. He was like, he was like, I don't want these anymore. These don't work anymore. We can give them to baby Obi. It's his cousin who's going to be born soon. And he was so good about it. I was so proud, but I was also like,
The passing.
I also want to say I'm not throwing these away. They're like
Yeah.
horrible and mangled. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I need to put them in his box. You know?
Totally.
I feel like my middle child got the worst of it because after the first, I feel like with the 3, it got a little easier
Yeah.
in some ways. Like, you know what to expect, you know the hard, you know the good, you know. But the middle one, where we weren't sure if we were going to have a third.
Mhm.
So I wasn't in the space yet of appreciating, which I am with my third, of like, oh, the last time. And with my first, it was like, oh, the first time.
Right.
But that poor Addie, like, I'm like, man, you were right in the middle of like, I was like, shit, I'm doing this twice. Are we going to do it again? I don't want to do it again, but I do want to do it. So like, I feel like that I'm just now getting to enjoy it, I think the most, which kind of sucks, once we knew it was the last.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still incredibly hard, but there are moments where it's like, oh, that is the last baby. I don't ever want a baby again.
Oh,
But also,
no.
you know, you get that baby
Right.
fever, even though you know
Yeah.
you really
Yeah.
don't want a baby.
Oh, I'm so
Totally.
excited. My sister-in-law's about to have a baby. I'm like, I get to hold a
Yeah.
baby. And I'm like, also I get to give it back.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, the dog, y'all. Like, that was like, I was like, do we really want to have another baby? We got a dog. I was like, nope, we're good. I can cuddle this little dog like a little baby.
yeah. Yeah. Those little things, like as they tick by, you're like, and then of course, my theme is always guilt. It's like, why? How did you not appreciate it more? Like, I need to
Yeah.
start paying more attention.
Yeah. I need to take more pictures.
I need to take more pictures. I need to
Right.
document everything.
Right.
And you can't do that.
Yeah. And how do you like work through the guilt? I mean, because for me, it's the same, the guilt and the shame of like, and I think I get stuck in that. I'm so aware of so many things and I'm always in pursuit of trying to be better, which I
Yeah.
think are great qualities, but then I get overwhelmed with like, it's never enough. I'm never doing enough. I'm
Right.
never
Yeah.
doing good enough. I'm never like, so how do y'all deal with the guilt of like, oh, I should be appreciating this moment? Or because that gets hard for me. It's like, to be honest, it's hard to appreciate. I'm like, why am I not enjoying this?
Yeah.
I should be enjoying this, right?
I honestly think like having a like
Yeah.
close relationships with other moms who can be like, you need to let that go, sister. Like, or like just even like in this conversation, it's like, oh, this is a universal experience. Like, I think we all feel some measure of not enough, or we all feel some measure of like we're not doing it right or whatever. And when you look around, you can be like, okay, like
Yeah.
that's probably not true, you know, like, cause I look at you guys and I'm like, you guys are doing great. You're crushing it. And like, so I think having that community is like so important. Cause even us, there are times when we'll be like, what did you do for blah, blah, blah? And then be like, okay, but wait, so what did you do? Like we have those moments where it's like, you know, so yeah, I think that for me is like one of the ways that I can get out of my head a
Yeah.
little bit, or like look at my husband and be like, well, I'm doing better than you. Just kidding, mostly.
No, I think too. Well, the guilt's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think at the beginning, I was beating myself up over the guilt, like actually feeling it at all. Cause like that just totally was like, that's not what you're supposed to be.
So you were guilty about the guilt.
Oh,
Mhm.
100%.
We love
Also, I'm culturally
many
Catholic.
layers.
So this is par for the course for me. But I think the biggest thing that has helped, and I feel like this is a, journey you never really end, but it's like accepting that. And I think hearing other people being like, that's just a thing that is going to happen right now. And being able to be like, yeah, babe, like you're in it. You're just in it. And it will end. Like there will be an opportunity for you to work on that later if you so choose.
Right. Right.
And right now is not the time. Right now is not the time. You are spread too thin. And I think, yeah, when you are able, and it doesn't happen all the time, but when you are able to take a step back and be like, okay, I see it. It's happening. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
It does at least make it a little easier to bear it being natural.
So how do you guys pick what thing to focus on? So do you know what I mean? Like for me, there's at all times 15 things competing.
Mm,
Oh, we have to be healthy. Oh, we have to get
Yeah.
rest. Oh, we have to be emotionally intelligent. Oh, we have to be aware of, all these things. Oh, there's partner, there's work, there's kids, there's the house, there's cooking.
oh
Like,
my gosh.
how do you pick the thing that you're going to let go of? Does it change every second or like, do
Yeah.
you have a strategy?
So Jessica, our third business partner, actually, so she is like one of the wisest humans, I think we
Yeah,
would both
100%.
say. Like,
I would agree. And
Yeah.
I don't know her nearly as well as you guys.
Yes.
So like anytime she says anything, I'm like, okay, yes, write this down. But she talks about like polarities, like when you when you have the both, like you have this over here and this over here. She's like, we think that like we have to shoot the middle every time, and she's like, really, it's just this time you do this one and this time you do next one, and you may do 2 in a row, but then you do 2 in a row over here. And so like I try to hold that of like, okay, even if I can't make sure that we have vegetables at every meal, and I can't make sure that my house is even remotely clean or whatever, but it's like, how can I at least just like touch them all, like, and get in the rhythm of being like, I can let that one go because I have paid attention to it recently. Like, we had a super healthy meal last night. Like, you can have an Uncrustable for dinner. It's fine. Like, or whatever, so that I can focus on something else. That I feel like gave me a lot of permission to be like, I don't have to do them all right every time.
Yeah, somebody, it's like, it's going to average out over time. And somebody also, I wish I could remember who it was talking about this, but it's like weather. Because in the context of like those days where like you feel bad as a parent, where you're like, you've gotten on your kid, like I'm not proud of like what I did. And it's like that idea of like, it averages out over time. Like if there were, 80% sunny, uncloudy days, and there were 1 or 2 storms, like the way that you remember the vibe is actually the sunny, uncloudy day. So it's like, let it go. In terms of those moments where you're like, I can't do it all, or I didn't react the way that I wanted to. Like ultimately it's fine. It's okay. You don't have to be 100%.
And like picking your battles, man. Like this child, she has a piece of candy every night after dinner, because I'm like, you know what? In the grand scheme of things, you can have a Hershey Kiss after dinner. I am not going to fight the meltdown of like, we'll brush your teeth. Like, so like trying to decide like, what are those things that are just not the hills I'm going to die on? Like,
I will say too, lately, a thing that I have been noticing about myself, or as like a check, it's like, and we've talked about this a little bit, but it's like when I notice myself feeling really urgent, I'm like you get that feeling where you're like, you start running on the hamster wheel and you're like, okay, all of it has to happen. Yes. Like that actually lately has been okay, let's just pause for a moment. Is it urgent? Is it necessary? And I don't know that I'm always picking right in that moment, but like at least it's this check on your really it's your expectations about yourself, I think, in conflict with some other either society or something else that you're like, I need to hold myself up to that standard, but checking my urgency.
That's something I very recently came to too, was in therapy. I was like, I feel rushed all the time. And that's what creates anxiety. I mean, there's so many things that create anxiety, but for me, I was like, I feel this sense of urgency and like chaos of a hurricane.
Yeah.
And then when I have a moment, and it's usually during my workday because you don't have humans, I'm like, I don't have a meeting. I have a few moments, to what you said earlier. What am I going to do? Am I going to meditate? And then I'll sit there for my 15-minute break going, am I going to take care of myself? Am I going to get a snack?
Right.
Am I going to do the laundry? And then my 15 minutes is up and I'm like, well, shit, my time is gone. And then it's that same chaos again. I'm like, man, instead of just picking, like I could just pick, like you were saying, polarity, just do one.
Yeah.
Rather than sitting in the like, what am I going to do?
And sometimes I think it's like, do the one that you feel called to. Yeah. Like, it's like, we know, like we know what we need, or we know like
your bodies know.
To be right. Exactly. And it's like, there are times when it's like, if you can do all of the like getting centered enough to be like, what is the thing I really feel like I need right now? Then I do feel like you can be like, oh, okay, like we really need to hold the line against X right now. But getting in that headspace, like you said, of like, it's chaos, and then taking the step back, that's the hard part, I feel like.
Yeah.
So that you can listen,
My honest answer to your original question is like, it's largely reactive. Most of the time there is no strategy. It's like, what is the biggest fire that is screaming the loudest? And that is what gets attended to. But hopefully, over time that averages out to, what needed to happen. Our children are fed.
Right.
The house isn't on fire. Bills are being paid. Yeah. Like
they know they're loved.
Right. Exactly. Their clothes are mostly clean.
Yeah. My daughter goes to school with like holes in both of her knees and her pants. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And I've even had a teacher be like, do you guys, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're fine. I just like, the pants are still fine. Yeah. There's holes, but like I have 3 kids. I'm not buying more clothes. Right, exactly. Could I? Sure.
Yeah. She had something all over her sweatshirt that she didn't have when I put it on her. Yeah. But I was like,
Oh no, I don't know the daycare dirt. I can't get it. I
Ew,
can't get
it's
it
so
out.
nasty.
Their knees are perpetually stained. Like as soon as I get new clothes, I'm like, well, this is gonna last the season.
Exactly.
So
what about like how relationships have changed since you guys have had kids? This could be any relationship. It could be friends, could be work relationships, could be your partner, family. Like, what are the biggest things that come up for you and like how those relationships change, specifically with little kids? Because I think now I'm saying this not having older kids, but from the people that I've talked to that have older kids, there's a whole different phase that we're in right now,
Yeah.
pre-elementary, and even in those first few elementary years that changes later. But like right now with like pregnancy, postpartum, birth, and early years, what has that done for your relationships?
well, it's hard for me to divorce that actually from the context of COVID because we had our first during COVID, and I think um particularly with like friendships, I would say, like, I think a lot of the community you build around yourself, like in those early years, because I think you're right. Like, I think there's a phase where it's like they're little kids and then you get to school and then all of a sudden this sort of like world opens up to you in terms of, friendships, adult friendships, but that was not there.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we sort of missed that experience and are sort of still feeling like the remnants of that a little bit. But the relationships that we do have with particularly folks who have kids, those are so much deeper.
Yeah.
That I was never really a person for small talk, but then like having a child, I was like, I could talk to anybody anywhere who has a child easily.
Yes.
Easily. There's
Yes.
always something to connect on. There are always experiences that are shared just by virtue of like having a tiny human that you are like supposed to feed and care for. And so like in that way, it was both like isolating a little bit, and certainly the relationships that like just didn't continue after having kids because it's just so hard. You just do not have the time to like nurture that. Whereas others where that experience was shared, it was like those are so much deeper now. Just because you can look at each other and be like, that thing, oh, yeah, that thing. I will say too, like it's affected all of them, but family's been an interesting one. Both in that like you get to it's like I have a new connection now with my parents in terms of like understanding and being so much more empathetic than I ever was pre-kids to like the choices that they made that maybe I disagreed with, but now I'm like, I understand though. I understand why you made that
Yes.
decision. But also this new dimension of, I think, navigating like where your boundaries are and where their boundaries are around parenting. I would say we've been very fortunate in that for the most part. Like we have not had to fight very hard to be like, we want you to do these things with our kids, with the grandparents. And also like, it's just a new conversation. It's just a new dimension of that relationship that wasn't previously there. And then partners, I'll pause there. That's probably going to be a whole.
I agree with everything you said, especially like the family one,
Yeah.
not just like my like parents and my in-laws, but like I'm really close with like my aunts and uncles, and some of them have kids and some of them don't. And so like to see them like come in and like love on my kid has like been really special and awesome. And I and on the flip side, again, it's both, right? Like I was like when I was growing up, I was like, I'm not gonna be like your traditional like girl, right? I'm
Yeah.
gonna be like
Yeah.
the president of the United States and like do not burden me with childbirth. Like I thought for a long time I was gonna have kids. And so like I had to navigate this like this kinship, right, that you feel with parents that like you need and is important. And also like it was almost like I had to be like, but like don't put me in that camp. Like don't just call me a mom. Like I'm not just a mom. Like don't just talk to me about my kid because I have this business that I'm really proud of, and like I have, all these, not all these things because life's hard, but I have this business that I'm really proud of, like, but there are other dimensions that I don't want to just be put in this box of mom. And I feel like when you have that connection, it's easy to like jump on that. So yeah, that has been a weird one to navigate. And then yeah, partners, man, I don't even know. It is. I like what you're saying of like they're the ones that's like they can handle it. So like there are times when we just look at each other and we're like, I'll catch you tomorrow,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think as Parker gets older, like I feel like we have to be like, okay, no, but we need to make that time. Like we actually need to sit down. We
Yep.
need to like call the babysitter. We need to go to dinner. like whatever. And yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. Well, I think just managing the logistics of it too. It's like you just
Right.
need a night a week to regroup. We don't always get that either, but I think there's a both and to that around like I had never felt so supported by my partner before because it's a group.
Yeah.
I mean, we joke, we're like, this is the most intense group project we've ever been on, but like, it really is. And like, he is a team player.
Yeah.
Like, he is in it. And also, like, I have never felt so much resentment.
Yes.
Not so much for the things he is doing, but the way like society expects him to show up that he can lean into. And we've talked so much about this, but it's like that was new.
Yeah.
And certainly has added like a new flavor to our conversations about like our relationship. Cause it's like, there's some things like you're just not expected to do. But I need you to do them.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't see it, like, let me make you aware, that kind of thing.
And I think like the pressure, like Justin and I have talked about, like, you get the sitter and like they come and then you got the dinner reservation and like you're ready to go. You got your nice clothes on and then you go to dinner and you just like sit and look at each other.
Talk about your kid.
Or talk about your kid. Cause it's like, I think like there's such an identity shift, like in having kids that you're like, oh, I haven't had time to think about even who I am right now. And then now I have to relate to you and you're different. You've changed too. And so it's like trying to like be like, is this our first date? And I've been with him for 21 years. Like I know you deeply. And also like, it's like, how do you make space to be like, okay, we actually have to figure out how to relate to each other.
Yeah, to like really connect. And it takes time. It's like, what's new and good with you? I could probably spout off some superficial things, but like the last time we actually had a conversation about something that was like concerning or you were like really mulling over, it's like, when was that?
Right. Yeah. It's so real.
Yeah. And I think for me too, it is the both and of like feeling both the most love and connected and supported. Like, oh my God, I'm so lucky we're in this together.
Yeah.
And also it throws you into this space of like, it's so hard to not score keep.
Oh man.
For me,
it's so hard.
It's so hard. I'm like, that's not fair. It's not even.
Yeah.
And I know logically, I'm like, but it's never like, it's always going to fall one way or the other. It's like the pendulum swings, periods of time I'm going to be doing more, periods of time you're going to be doing more. And also, there's a lot of things that I think as women, at least for me, like the mental emotional load, like he does an incredible, like there's so much he does in that we're partners. Yes. 50%. But the things that I do, whether they are or not, they feel like the hard emotional mental stuff. And so it is hard not to score keep. And then if you get a date night, how do you put the scorecard away and be like, can we just like have fun, date again?
Sometimes that actually feels like the thing you need to connect on. And you're like, I'm so sorry to be like the Debbie Downer on the limited amount of time that we have, but like we have to talk about that. And that always sucks. Like that's a choice.
And that's always me. I'm always the one who's like, can we talk about the really hard thing and then we'll go get drunk and play? But like, can we get this out of the way?
Right, I just need to get this off my chest.
I can't be authentic until we talk about this.
And that even like the emotional work you do to decide whether or not to like settle or struggle over that.
Oh God. Yeah.
Like running that over in your head is like, is this something that I feel like a victim enough about that I need to say something, or like also like I just don't want to deal with it. Like I don't actually have extra emotional capacity to deal with the like successful resolution and like of that. You know what I mean?
And like holding the feelings and my feelings and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's like I got no space to hold any more feelings. Like I just need you to fix it.
Right. I don't know about y'all too, but like the scorekeeping thing, I scorekeep the shit out of him. But I also scorekeep for myself because I'm like, am I doing enough?
Well, because my resentment is unfounded if I'm not doing more.
Exactly.
It's to back up your argument.
Right. Yes. So that's exhausting too. And it's like, just let it go. It's fine. But I can't. So. Yeah.
I do, just to like validate that though. Like I really think when you become a parent, those differences that maybe like you were like, we talked a lot about like being equal and like being more like breaking some of those stereotypes. Until you have kids, you don't realize like how many of those are like so deeply ingrained.
Oh yeah.
Like this idea of like the default caregiver, the default parent, like, and having to talk about those explicitly.
And like the things that we were like socialized to like growing up and like skills that we developed. Like I am a better cook because I'm a girl and my mom made me learn how to
Right.
cook. And he mows the yard better because he learned how to mow the yard. And so it's like, I would love to like show Parker that like it doesn't have to be the mommy in the kitchen and the daddy doing the outside projects, but like those are our skill sets.
Yeah.
Like it's not just, it's just like that's what we're better at.
Yeah.
Well, and when efficiency is a premium
Right.
as a parent, because time
Yeah.
is limited,
It
it's
takes
like
you 2 hours to cook a meal. We don't have
we don't have time
time.
for that, and we don't have 2 hours. We don't have 2 hours for me to mow the lawn. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, it does feel like wrestling with that. It's like I want to like show them something different, and I know how important that is, and also I find that you slip into them so much more easily, more readily.
If you're like me and dinner time creates so much anxiety and stress, and you have very little time, especially if you have kids, from the time you get home until bedtime, let me suggest Hungry Root. Hungry Root has been a game changer for our family. Every week I go in and I pick out our meals for the following week. I get to select 4 servings, which is huge. A lot of delivery services don't allow for multiple servings like that, but it's enough to feed our family. They are really affordable. They're significantly cheaper than what you would get with some of the other subscriptions out there that tend to be very pricey and fancier, I would say, than Hungry Root. But it also offers a lot of healthy options. And so you can pick different dietary restrictions. Like I usually always select anti-inflammatory for the family, which is like a lot of fish, a lot of veggies, a lot of chicken. But you can also select vegan, vegetarian, high protein, gluten-free, all these different variations that you can choose from. That's affordable, it's healthy, and almost every single meal is less than 30 minutes to make. And oftentimes if it's more than 30 minutes, it's just the bake time that takes a little bit longer. The prep time on almost all of these meals is very minimal, that even somebody like me who has self-proclaimed that I do not like to cook because it creates anxiety and stress in me, I can even make these meals. It's been easy on my husband, who's the one that cooks, because I prepare ahead of time, like what the recipes are going to be. I pick them on Hungry Root, and I choose things that are easy for his preference that I know him and the kids and myself are going to like. And it's made our dinner time routine so much easier in a way that none of the other subscriptions have. And it's yet still affordable, as if we were going to the grocery store and getting our groceries. So if you want to try it out, I highly recommend it, regardless of if it's just you and a partner, or you and kids. It works for any size family, any size household. And if you're interested, you can click the link below and get $50 off your first box. I'm lucky that I don't cook at all. Like I'm the one who would take 2 hours. It's not that I can't. Like if the kids aren't around, I've made Thanksgiving dishes for like get-togethers and they're great. But it took me all day.
Right.
Where like him or his mom, it would be knocked out in an hour. But for me, it's like the emotional, mental stuff I'm the go-to.
Yeah.
So similarly, like it's not maybe mowing the lawn and cooking. We have some reversal, which is amazing because I hate cooking. And also you still find those patterns and like us trying to nudge in the other direction. But then again, you're talking about skills and capacity building, which none of us have the capacity for anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
And
Absolutely
here's the thing,
zero.
it's new to everybody. Like I became a parent at the same time that he did.
Right.
So it's like we can learn together on that. So sure, there are things that like, because like I birthed the baby, like there are some things that I'm just going to have to do.
Right.
But at the same time, like in terms of like parenting skills, we are learning together on that. I am not more intuitive than you. I am certainly not more patient than you. Like, yeah.
Have either of you, well, you kind of talked about this a little bit, Hannah, but like had more of the reverse with other like in-laws or parents, where not that they're not doing the things you want them to do, but rather you want them to stop doing certain things. And like, you don't have to call anybody out or anything, but like, have you had situations, and maybe it's not in-laws or parents or whoever, where you've like, maybe it's even a school, where you've had to like be like, actually, I don't want you to do that. Cause that's been really hard for me. Like I'm an Enneagram 9, so I'm like peacemaker.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But now with my kids, so I see something and I'm like, oh, I got to say something. I don't want to do this. I don't want to say it.
Yeah.
They're going to look at me weird and I'm going to have to go say it.
Yeah.
Like, have y'all experienced that? And what's that like?
Not yet. And I say yet because I could see a scenario in the future, and I'm almost like waiting in the wings, like waiting to swoop a little bit when it happens. But I have thought for a long time body image, particularly like comments about how much my children are eating or how their clothing fit or that kind of thing. It could be very different. I could be, not giving credit to people, but I kind of anticipate some of that as I get older, and that is something that I will have to say something about because like we don't need any of that.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna get enough of that. Growing up,
Right.
everybody's already gonna have like terrible body image, and I'm not trying to have like loved ones, feed that about my kids. So hasn't happened yet in a way that I've like felt like I need to step in, but something that I kind of anticipate.
I think mine has been around like religion because
Ooh, yeah.
I grew up in East Tennessee. Like everybody is like evangelical Christian. My entire family, my husband's entire family, like, and I am not. And so, and it's a little triggering. I mean, as body images, I know like triggering for me too. Like, so it's like, and we had a couple of family members die. And so it's like already I'm trying to navigate like how do I answer questions about death with my 3-year-old?
Yeah.
My very inquisitive, very observant, very sensitive 3-year-old who literally is like, "What? Where do we go when we die?" And I'm like, "How are you asking me this at 3? I thought I had a few more years." But like, and then like family members are like stepping in to like answer that question the way they want to answer it. And I'm like, I need you to stop. Like you were confusing her. Like, and this is my job. Like this is I get to handle this question, not you. And I probably don't handle that as delicately as I should always. But I do think it's like there are certain boundaries where I'm like, this is my job to like, and I get to make this call. And if it hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. But like, or if you disagree with me or whatever, like I get to say to my kid, this is how I want you to think about this, or this is how I want you to be able to hold multiple truths or whatever. So that's one for me that I'm like, I constantly feel like, and like, yeah, and like, I want her to be able to go to church with my mom because, like, whatever, she wants to go hang out and they sing songs and she's happy. It's like school,
And it's important to be exposed to. Like, that's
exactly. But it's like, how do you navigate the like, but also don't indoctrinate my child thing?
Yeah. Speaking of religious duties, the other day, Willa asked if God made humans, who made God? And I was like,
oh boy, mic drop.
I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah, Parker gets on a like, who made my body? And I always say me because
you did.
Because I did. But I can see like family members who are like, God made bodies. And I was like, no, I made your body. And so, yeah, so I can see like
physically. I actually have pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because like I feel like I'm a recovering evangelical is what I think about, and like also a recovering codependent. And so you're like, how do I set a boundary?
Yes,
I'm so worried about upsetting you, which is crazy because I'm like, I'm angry and hurt. But if I tell you that, that's going to make you angry and hurt.
Right.
So let me just not.
Yeah, I'll just deal with it.
Yeah. And like, stop it. Stop it, Nicole. And I think my kids have helped me push out of that.
Yeah.
It's been incredibly difficult, but it's like, oh, actually, no.
It's like so much clarity when it's your kid.
Yeah. Because it's not you. You can't let yourself get beat up by whatever the thing is as much. And I think that's one of those beautiful both moments of going, oh, having a kid actually is helping me love myself a bit better.
Yeah. Oh, that's so real.
And beat myself up a lot.
I do think like those things that are like really healing though, of like, I get to choose to do this differently. And I can see that like, she doesn't go like stress about what happens after you die now because she's like, okay. And off she goes, So it is like really healing. It's like hard. It's hard and healing, right? Like it's hard to have the conversation and set the boundaries and think about how you want to approach it. But like, then I look at her and I'm like, oh, like I deserve that too, like, so.
Yeah. Well, it's hard not to have a model for it too. Cause I think there are some areas where it's like, we are trying to do things a little bit differently than maybe we experienced growing up. So like, I don't have the script. I'm like, Dr. Beckett, give me the words. But like, I really do see that paying off both in terms of like, they are so much better able to be like, I'm feeling angry. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. Also, you can't hit.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, mom hack. I legit will go to ChatGPT and say, how do I talk to a 3-year-old about XYZ? And it's not
Whoa.
perfect, but it like gives you an idea.
Chad.
I
okay.
know.
Chad.
Listen, this is off topic, but ChatGPT, I was like so against AI.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
there's times where I'm like, damn it, I'm going to have to use
I
chat.
know.
Like, I don't want to,
I
but I'm going to
know.
for
It's
like stuff like that. Because again, you don't have the capacity. And if you can have
Right.
a tool to make it a little easier in a few ways,
Thank you notes, man.
do it.
Send them to Chad.
Right.
Send them to Chad.
Yeah, totally.
So here's kind of what I want to say. And could you just
Right.
make this a little bit like more thoughtful than
Right.
like my brain has
Yeah.
capacity to compute right now?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to use it. I don't supervise anybody at the moment, but I have. And I'm like, maybe that's like, because those are also the conversations. I'm like,
yeah, that's
ooh,
smart.
how
We
do I
haven't thought
talk
about
to my
that.
employees with, like the improvement conversations?
Yeah, we haven't thought about that at all. That's a great.
I have to get us off topic, but I'm like, for me, I'm
I
always
just
like,
thought about
oh,
it.
how do I do this?
I mean, you used
Do you know how many quarterly reviews we have to do?
I don't have to do any. So.
The content, it's like it goes in as a bulleted list, and I'm just like, could you just massage this a little bit?
help
before
me
I-
not be
love
that. Yeah, that's real. I totally get that. That's
So before you all became moms, were you aware of this both and I guess even as a mom, like, have you been aware of the bothness that whole time, or has it kind of gradually become aware to you?
I think definitely for me, it has been being a parent. Like I think I grew up in a world that was very black and white. Um, and I just don't think I had one, I don't think I could feel it. Like I remember explicitly standing over the bassinet and she's screaming her head off and I'm having this moment of like I want to throttle you. Like
Yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
this is why people shake their babies. Like
Yeah.
literally having that moment. And also this like I feel so helpless because I can't help you and like whatever and all of those feelings and I think it was this real like light bulb moment for me of like wow, like I have felt this way a lot in all these other situations and I have not had the like language or the context to be able to like articulate it. So I think being a parent, it's somehow just like like illuminated areas of my life where I'm like, oh, like I can apply the same framework because I can see it so clearly with my kid, like or I can see it so clearly as with my relationship with my kid that like you can have this level of gray or you can hold two things at once in other areas of your life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I would double click on that. And I think I felt gobsmacked by it because of the disparity in the emotions. Like I know I've felt like bittersweet before. Like, and I fully could have like empathized with that emotion where it's like, it's a little sad, but it's also like really sweet. But like those are a little closer together on the
Yeah,
emotional
right.
spectrum. Like the range that you could feel in the same moment. Like I had never felt that before. And it was like, you can't ignore it.
yeah,
Like I literally like felt smacked.
right.
Like
It's like
in that
equal
moment.
both. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, how is this possible not to be literally like torn in half
Right.
by like the intensity of that feeling? And again, like I just don't know. And I do apply that in other places. I'm like, oh, you're feeling, but they're like a little maybe closer again. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you're feeling both. You can
Yeah.
acknowledge and like accept both.
Mhm.
But I can't think of another experience in my life that has just made it so apparent.
Yeah. I do think it's been interesting too. We've talked about this a lot as we kind of like grow into leadership positions, like how much of that I feel like I'm a much better leader because I'm a
Oh,
parent.
yeah. Yeah.
Like not saying that you can't be a good leader without being a parent, but like I think concepts like the both and have made me more reflective, more empathetic, more thoughtful as a leader that I'm like, this is 100% a parenting lesson that I am now applying to this scenario.
Yeah.
So I feel like that has been something that
I mean, I will say too, like sitting in the gray takes a
Yeah.
lot more emotional and
man.
mental capacity, and like, but you can't ignore it anymore. Like I can't. I don't think I could ever go back to a world where I'm like, it is black or white.
right.
Like that just doesn't exist. That's not accessible to me
Yeah.
anymore. And that's both. Like I think that's a level up because that really is how the world works. Like it is
Right.
probably healthier to accept it that way, and also that just takes a lot more out of you to be like, okay, now I've got to weigh both equally. I need to like explore both. But yeah.
And I can accept that both things can be true
Mhm.
and whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like I second all of that, because for me, it also has pushed me into another phase of like, it's not just feelings. I think
Right.
feelings
Yeah.
is where I started with this concept, but it's also ideas. Like if you get into things like politics, I'm like,
Yeah.
Totally.
it's so much more. Or like we work in nonprofit space. Well, I more so than you, but you are obviously very heavily involved. But you know, you get all these people together from different sectors and you hear their vastly different priorities. And to be able to sit now and go, oh, you're both right.
Right. These are
You
equally important to both of you.
and I see the like value behind why you're saying this and why you're saying this. And how do we find a solution that meets both of those things?
Totally.
And it's not necessarily always in the middle. Like it might be this piece from over here and this piece from over here. But I feel like this idea of bothness came and pushed me, especially like having kids, but it takes it to that next level. Like
Yeah.
leadership, there's all these things that I feel like kids have. Like even when I did have a pretty large team, there were so many concepts where I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'm not looking at my team as kids, but also
Right. I know.
the
But we're all
same
humans.
practice. We're all
humans.
humans. And like it, the codependent thing, or like I'm not
Yeah.
responsible for your reaction thing. Those
Right.
things that I learned in parenting, I was like, oh well, there you go. Like
Yeah.
I'm not responsible for your reaction. I'm responsible for how I present it.
Right.
But your
Yes.
reaction to it is not my job to take on.
And that whole idea of like,
Yeah.
you're entitled to how you feel about it, but I can't let you do this. Like you're not,
Right.
that's not how you exhit that, or that's not acceptable to me. Like
Yeah.
that whole like nuance to boundary holding.
Dr. Becky says, we were shitting on her earlier.
Tag
So
Dr.
I'll
Dr.
throw her a
Becky
bone
on
right
here.
now. But like she says, kids need validation, empathy, and boundaries. And I'm like, that's not just kids.
That's
People
everybody.
need validation, empathy, and boundaries. And like as a leader, I'm like, that's what all people are looking for. They want to feel seen. They want to feel like you understand them, and they want to know where the line is. And it's like, damn, okay, well,
Dr. Becky solved everything.
yeah,
Basically,
I
she's just
mean,
catering
not
to our
even just
monkey
being
brain.
funny.
right. No, but seriously,
So what would either of you say to anybody, don't even think of it as advice. Like what would you say to people who are in the space, either whether it's a woman who is parenting young kids or just a human, a parent of any kind?
I mean, I do think my MO lately and what I would recommend to other people is like, rather than struggling against it, if you find yourself swirling, acceptance really is the key. To being like, and I think flavored with a little bit of self-compassion for like the season of life that you're in, to just say, okay, it is a shit show, but it's my shit show and it's going to be here for a minute. And we have this conversation a lot about like, okay, what could we shift around to make this easier? Like make it easier where you can.
Yeah.
Which is very hard. You're somebody who has very high expectations.
right.
But like make it easier on yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay to make it easier on yourself. And that whole thing about like, it's okay to not be okay. Because like you probably aren't.
Right.
Especially like when they're really little.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, that crib scenario you were talking about, Amy. Oh, like I even got a visceral. I'm like, ooh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It brought up the like mental image I had of just like, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to the best of your ability, like accepting where you are. Yeah. Accepting it's probably not where you thought you were going to be, or where you expect yourself to be, and it's okay.
And it's okay. I like that. It's okay to like hack it. Yeah. Or like what can you do to make it easier?
Yeah.
And like release yourself of the guilt of making it easier. I feel like there's so much guilt tied with like
Instacart.
I'm making
like,
it easier.
deliver my groceries.
Yeah.
I think mine is like, I think a lot about like discipline. Like I said earlier, like I'm a little bit of a chaos tornado. And so like, I think for me, it's like, how do I stay disciplined about the things that I know are going to continue to like fulfill me? Like being in community with other people, like that is important. Like we have like a standing dinner once a month that we get our kids together, because like I need to be in front of people once a month. Now, whether or not y'all need that as much as I do, I don't know.
We do.
But like I need that, and I want my kid to have that. And so it's like I try to protect that, and like I try to be disciplined about that. And like even like the taking time for yourself, I'm really bad at that one. So like whatever. But like I'm going to take an hour and I'm going to go to the bookstore and I'm going to get a cup of coffee. I'm going to walk around the bookstore in silence, and it's not going to kill my husband to like hang out with her for a minute. So it's like, how do I stay disciplined about doing some of those things when it's easier to just say no? And like the other thing is like, I read this it was a meme, whatever, on Instagram the other day, and it was like, not a meme, but whatever. But it was like being annoyed is part of being in community. And so it's like
Ooh.
I think this idea of like sometimes the thing that you need to do like gives you a little friction, and that's okay. It's just part of it. And so it's like, how do I push back against the friction? Because I'm a 7. I don't want discomfort. I don't want pain. And so it's like, how do I push past the discomfort of like making sure that my house is clean so people can come over, so that I get the payoff of
People coming over.
and we get to sit around and have drinks and our kids go play in the playroom quietly, for like an hour. So anyway, I think that's the thing, is like, how can you have discipline around the things that you know are gonna be good for you?
I would add to that too. I would encourage people to release the pressure of self-care and or
That's good.
complicate your definition of what self-care looks like.
Mhm.
Because I found myself like early on, like self-care was a very narrow thing that you did. It was like you go get a massage, you
Right.
exercise, you eat right, you do, and like there's a full spectrum of things that might be self-care for you that are none of those. And that's okay. Like literally sitting in the dark in silence might be self-care, and that's
It's so
okay.
much
And that's
self-care.
great.
But like people feel like that's not productive. Like there's this like self-care is like production, and that is capitalism.
Yeah.
So release that, because that's just another thing that you're probably expecting yourself to do that is like unnecessary and may not actually work for you. It may not actually be caring for yourself.
I actually just went through this. I made an Excel sheet with like 4 different tabs of like, because I think there's self-care and then there's like stress reducing activities. Do you know
That's
what
a
I
good
mean?
distinction.
Because there's like a massage does help me.
Right.
It doesn't last very long though. The effects of that
Right.
massage are very temporary. So
Uh-huh.
every once in a while, I want to go do that or get my nails done.
Yeah.
But it is the sitting in the silence moments. It is taking a walk around my block moments.
Uh-huh.
It is boundaries for me. I've realized like that's the self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I don't set the no or whatever, you encroach in my space. And then that's when I'm like, "Ugh,"
Yeah.
So I made this like Excel sheet of like what's free that
Mhm.
actually helps. Well, first I started with what's free was low cost, mid cost, and splurge.
Oh.
And then I went in and put everything online that people say, and I've been testing it for
Oh,
myself.
I love this.
Is part of the cost like time investment too, or like planning? Because that's
No,
another
but that's
thing.
another level I should add
Yeah.
to that. It's just money right now. But because I was like, and I've been working on this for like a year in therapy, I'm like, nothing helps me. Like,
Right.
you're telling me I need to care for myself and I need self-care. Like, what the hell? Like, none of this is helping.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to test out all the things.
I love that.
And what can I do for free and test it out? And then I'm kind of like ranking what makes a difference.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love
I love that.
this.
And I love that too, because like it becomes sort of like an admonition. Like
Yeah.
when you're like not doing well, people are like, well, how's your self-care? Like
Yeah.
it's your
Like,
fault.
what the hell do you mean by that, first of all?
Right. And so like, yes, like I love that. And also like we've talked about this, but sometimes the things that maybe were self-care for you
Exactly.
pre-kids are
Oh,
no
man,
longer
so real.
self-care.
100%.
And you just don't know that until you try it. And yeah.
Yeah,
Well, because
that's
like
real.
working out, I work out so consistently. Like I prioritize it, but it doesn't actually make me less stressed. I think
Right.
like I'm sure it does. The science says that it does. But I do that at this point to like keep my body in a healthy state.
Right. It's like
Right.
I'd like to age gracefully.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't want my bones disintegrating. You know what I mean? I got some muscles. Like, come
Right.
on. So I'm like, okay, I got to retest this. Like, what are the things for me that
Yeah.
actually help? And I always got sick of people being like, "Well, take a walk," and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to test this. I'm going to take a walk and see if it helps. It does.
And then, yeah.
You see those things where it's like, I'm taking my fucking mental health walk for my fucking minty pee.
Yeah, it's so real.
No, those are, I think both of what you said though is so helpful. And even for me, I'm like, yeah, okay, release it. Like, yeah, how can I be disciplined about, I think, yeah, and reframing it like self-care. And how can I be disciplined about the things that I know actually help my
Yeah.
internal, like, I think of it like this deep breath, like the things that help me go,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
whatever that is what I need to do
Yeah.
more of. And if it's in a dark room, or for me, it's like sitting on my bed, laying on my bed with the windows open in the sun. I'm just like, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
sitting in the sun outside. Well, as we wrap up, I like to ask everybody at the end about something. It's a segment called Ridiculous or Relatable. It does not have to be related at all to what we're talking about today. But what is something that you do that is totally ridiculous? Could also be a little bit relatable.
I'm gonna let you go first.
I don't know. What I hope is actually that this is more relatable, but I totally have driving and parking anxiety. So does girlfriend Google the directions and the parking situation before she goes anywhere new? Why, yes, she does. Why, yes, she does. We Scoop and I can give you all the deets before I've even arrived. But yes, going anywhere. I'm actually trying to back off on that. That's like my exposure therapy.
Oh,
I'm just feeding my anxiety a little bit with,
Are you afraid you're gonna get lost?
Both that I'm afraid I'm gonna get lost and that like a narrative I have about myself is that when I get lost, I make terrible decisions in the moment about how to get myself back on track. Like I can't fix it. Like we just prevent getting into it at all because like if you're in it, well, girl, you're I don't know how you can get out of it. Right. So we prepare, but like that's probably not true. And then the parking thing, it's like I just need to know.
Yeah.
I just need to know.
Just helps you feel better.
Like if the parking spaces are small, like I'm going to fear for my ability to park, or if I'm not going to.
You have a big car?
Park. No.
Okay.
Do you also look at the menu before you go to a restaurant?
Most of the time.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. These are all things that I'm trying to like of late walk back just a little bit because like it just confirms your anxiety, right? Like you do it every time. You're like, well, I knew what to order and I didn't crash my car and I didn't get lost.
Yeah.
Yes.
The menu especially hits me because I get in the moment somebody asks and I like, again, this like recovering codependence, like, I don't know this. And then as soon as I order it, I'm like, I don't want that at all. Why did I say that?
Yeah.
And so it helps me like know in the moment, I'm like, no, I want this. And if they get it wrong, I'm like, actually pushing myself to be like, I'm so sorry, but actually I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that completely. And in the parking, because I can't parallel park. So I'm with you. I'm like, I need to know what the situation is.
I can, but I have to be mentally prepared to do so.
Or what? Like what?
The whole way.
Yes.
What happens? What's the scenario when you don't? What does that look like? When you don't prepare, Google or look up parking.
It's fine. It's fine. Because again, I've been trying to do this more recently. Like we went to lunch a couple of weeks ago at a place I'd never been, the Gojo, Ethiopian, which was fabulous.
So good.
And I was like, I am not going to Google the directions ahead of time. I'm just going to let Google take me there. And I'm not going to like do Google Street View to like find out what the parking lot was like.
And it was great. They had a lot in the back.
It was great. It was perfect. It was fine. I didn't crash. I didn't get lost. It was great. I didn't look at the menu ahead of time either, and it was also fine.
Oh,
it was a whole moment for me. I was really
you had
proud.
3 big wins. 4 because you got to see a friend.
Right.
Yeah,
I didn't realize.
Just gotta break that.
Yeah.
I think mine. So you were talking about sleep earlier. Like my sleep habit is a whole thing. So there's that. But I do think mine is like my book reading habit versus my book buying habit is totally, those two things do not align. So like anytime I'm like, I just need a little treat, I'm gonna go buy a book. How many books do you think I have? And how many of those have I not read? Like a whole lot of them. But I like, and finally I'm like, I'm just a collector. Like I like to organize them and I like to look at them and I like to be able to loan them out. So I'm trying to give myself grace and I don't have any time to read any of them. So I think that's mine.
You're not an art collector. You're a book collector.
Exactly. But my husband is like, why are you bringing another damn book in this house? I built you built-in shelves.
At least that will last. Like if the apocalypse happens, like you can just pack your books and you've got entertainment forever.
That's true.
Mine is like, I am a sucker for buying like health and wellness shit.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. It doesn't matter. It could be skincare. It could be for your back, like for posture. I even bought this one time. I bought this like squat machine.
What is a squat machine?
I need to sell it. It was like ridiculous. And I've used it 10 times. I'm like, what a waste of money. And I've gotten a lot better because I do the budget. And like, Nicole, rein it in. Because it was this, I think, going back to self-care conversation, I thought those were things that was like investing in me.
Exactly.
But it's not books. It's like, or I'll buy something, to like clear out the pores on my skin. And I'm like, what? Why do I really need that?
I was like, no, if I think about it for a second, Wirecutter sold that to me.
Exactly. Well, it's so good to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
and thanks
for
for
letting us do
being
this.
here. Thank you so much for listening today. I can't thank you enough for just taking the time out of your day to be here with me and with others as we learn together to hold multiple truths. If you enjoyed the conversation with Hannah and Amy today, please let me know. They are amazing women doing amazing things in their personal and professional lives. Elevate Consulting is a full-service firm serving nonprofits, collaborative community groups, foundations, and municipalities in designing and implementing smart, efficient strategies and programs that improve their community. They are there to help you and your organization live out your mission and drive equitable social change in the world. So visit them at consultelevate.com. I'll also link that in the show notes below. And if you haven't done so already, please take a second and subscribe and leave a quick rating and review of the show on Apple Podcasts by clicking the link in the show notes. Not only is this super impactful for the show, but it also helps others who might be struggling with some of these same things to find us. And I love hearing from each of you, so please follow the show on Instagram at It's Both Podcast to join the conversation and get behind the scenes content. You can also send me an email directly at itsbothpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening. And remember, it's okay to feel all the things because so many times in life, it's not either or, it's both.